Your debit card is useless, and in this video, we're going to be going over a few reasons why that's the case. My name is Darius.
And I'm Carmen. Now, I don't know if you all have watched the Wealth Nation channel. You may be thinking, wait, Darius and Carmen, this sounds kind of contradictory to what you usually say.
Right, because you've been in credit card debt twice. A lot of it, to a tune of $140,000 worth of credit card debt.
Yeah, but so here's what happens, right? And we are never too, what's the word?
We're never too
arrogant. Never too
big
arrogant
to say when we have made a mistake, because what we did is we put our own insecurities on you guys, and our insecurity was the fact that we were paying a ton in interest that we should not have been paying. The responsible thing for you to do when using a credit card is to pay it off every single month, and we weren't doing that. So that $140,000 that we had in debt was a revolving debt, which was crazy in how much interest that we were paying, but we're earning that interest now, so it's all good.
We're earning that interest now because we own our own debt. So yes. let's rewind, right? So Darius was just saying that we were putting our own securities on you guys. We apologize. We are learning and growing every single day. Now, what do we mean by that? Darius and I got into a ton of consumer debt, and we were ignorant. We didn't understand our finances. We were just swiping because that's what we thought you were supposed to do, because you're supposed to build your credit score and use your anyways, we can go on for days. And what we learned from that is we were miserable trying to pay off the credit card debts. We were up into our eyeballs just with the expenses, and we said, wow, this is not cool. And then once we got out of debt, we were very much like anti-credit cards. Don't do credit cards, don't use them, because you're going to get into a ton of trouble.
Then we met Denzel. And he
Shout out to Denzel Rodriguez.
Right.
And he said something like velocity banking, and say what? And accelerating and leverage and all of those things. And then we started to feel okay again with credit cards, because we recognized the tool that they were and how we could leverage them to accelerate our financial means. Now, as we continue to say, we're always talking Wealth Nation. We know that there's levels to this. And what we want you to understand is we recommend the use of credit cards if you are in control of your spending, and if you do not use credit cards as a means of abuse of just getting in consumer debt. The reason why we are advocates of credit cards now at this point is the need for protection. And what I mean by that is, if you swipe your debit card, that means that when you swipe your debit card, that is money that is directly being pulled from your bank account. And that's cool when you do it, but it ain't cool when somebody else does it.
Exactly. And a lot of our purchases now are online. Yep. So there's even more of a reason why you would maybe want to use your credit card instead of your debit card, because of that direct access they have to your bank account.
And with so many people being able to grab your information and access it these days, we said, wait a second, maybe we should be a little bit more strategic with how our funds are being accessed online or any purchase that we do. So I want to again preface, we are not saying everyone go out and go get credit cards. We are just saying think about credit cards differently. So because we are starting to think about credit cards differently, because again, whenever we swipe money from our debit card, this is why we're saying debit cards are useless now, is because there's no protection. And if God forbid you had any sort of fraud, now you have to go out and fight to get those funds back. And the bank isn't going to do it for you. You have to do it. But if you use a credit card, you can deal with the fraud team, and that's not going to affect the money that is directly inside of your bank account.
Right. And that's huge because of, again, how easy it is now for, not even easier, but how frequent identity theft is. And the fact that we make a lot of our purchases online, and you don't want your personal debit card information online. So protection is one of the biggest reasons why we say to use a credit card instead, so that you can protect yourself. Now, for those of us who aren't going to be responsible or who carry over a balance every single month, you may want to reconsider. The reason being is you don't have to pay interest on credit cards in order for you to get the benefits of it. Now, the protection is one thing. Another thing that you can benefit from using a credit card is incentives and rewards. Incentives are like basically like a signing bonus. When you get a bonus when you first sign up for a card, they give you like $500. There may be some type of rewards for using your credit card that you don't necessarily get with a debit card or using cash. So just those benefits alone, the incentives, the rewards, the protection, is a really good reason why you would want to use your credit card. But they're minuscule in comparison to the importance of you not paying interest on those credit cards.
Yeah, because the main thing that we recognize, right? We understand that credit cards are an amazing tool that the banks share with us. Now, the banks know a few things that maybe we don't really understand as consumers, that if they give you this shiny credit card, it's going to come with interest. You may or may not understand how that interest is going to be charged. So you swipe it and you think that you're going to pay your balance off at any time, or you may pay it off at the end of the month. So that's why we want to make sure that you understand how to use credit cards to your benefit, where you are paying off the balances every single month so that you're not incurring any interest. And to your point, Darius, is you still get to take advantage of the perks, whatever cash back, whatever point rewards there are, you still are able to qualify for all of those regardless if you pay the balances off or not. So that's one reason why we talk about, okay, if we're going to use our debit card, if we're going to need to access cash anyway, why not just use a credit card responsibly and be able to utilize those perks that come with using a credit card, as opposed to a debit card that doesn't offer you really any perks?
Exactly.
Nor security.
Exactly. That's the most important thing you should take from it, is the responsibility piece of it, because it's a tool that can be used, that you can use, or it's a tool that can be used on you. And the interest is that tool being used on you. The interest that we pay is what keeps the lights on at the bank, what keeps the people at the bank paid. All those are profits that go back to the bank. Now, you're able to not pay as much money in interest if you don't have a balance that you have revolving every single month.
And with all of these things, we're thinking about, again, just the day-to-day things that we do. When we think about every time we go to the store, go to the grocery store, go to pay gas, whatever it is.
Travel.
Yeah. Every time you swipe, you want to make sure that you are not allowing somebody to steal your information to have direct access to your bank account, because those who have had those issues where someone used funds inside your bank account, it is no fun to go fight the bank for your money.
Right.
And you're dependent on that money to be there because it's your funds. Whereas if you were to use a credit card, now you have a layer between your bank account and the bank that will allow you to not to give anyone direct access to your bank account. So that's the real reason why we started rethinking things, of saying, you know what, we do a lot of traveling. The more that we do as far as spending and investing and things like that, we need to make sure that we're always protecting our bank, our home, so that nobody can ever reach in there and try to grab any of the funds that we have.
Right. And you mentioned international travel. Is great for international travel, because the last thing you want to do in some of the places that we go is have a lot of cash on us.
True.
And for some of these places that we go, because of the dollar value being what it is in comparison to other countries, we may end up having a lot of cash on us, not even realizing it. So that's something that you don't want to do when you travel internationally, is show a wad of money, because that'll get you followed.
Exactly. We don't want any of that. Nobody's going to follow you with that plastic.
Right.
So these are all things to think about. We want to know in the comments. Let us know, what do you think, credit card versus debit card, in the sense of just protection and also making sure that you're using this responsibly. Again, we are not shouting from the rooftops for everyone to go get a credit card. We are just saying, if you have a credit card now, maybe think about how you can be more strategic with using it for that layer of protection.
Right. And if we go back to our own stories, when we first got out of college, it wasn't a good time for us to use a credit card. Well, for me, because I wasn't responsible enough. Even when we got together, when we first got married, it wasn't a good time for us, because together we weren't on the same page financially. Yeah. We had to work to get to that point so that we can make sure that the bills get paid, and we buy things that we know we can afford. Yeah. So fast forward to now, we've had these different experiences. We have a little more income, and we meet every single month every single week about our finances, and we have a budget that we maintain together. So the budget that we have in the expense sheet that matches with our credit card, there's certain credit cards for certain things, for certain buckets of cash activities. So we're really responsible with our funds now. We don't carry over a balance. That's really important when you want to leverage the tool of credit cards. Now, if you don't have these things in place and you're just spending money just to be spending it, then you can come into a problem because you have interest that you'll have to pay. And interest is really, really bad for you, but good for somebody else.
Interest is what robs our wealth.
Yes, interest is what robs our wealth. Interest and taxes.
Yeah, because the average household is actually paying more in interest every single month than they're saving.
Right.
So that's why for us, we had this bad taste in our mouths when it came to credit cards, because we knew we were those paying more money in interest than saving. And we never want that for our clients. We never want that for anyone who subscribes to our channel. We want to make sure that we provide you with the correct information as it comes to these financial tools that are out there, and make sure that you make the best decisions for yourselves. But we also realize we can't reach into your pockets and make you do the right thing.
Right, because the banks are aware just in frequency, and the more people that have credit cards, there's a higher possibility of people carrying over a balance. There's only a small amount of people that don't carry over a balance. The banks aren't marketing to you. They're marketing to people who carry over a balance because that's how they make money. So be careful how you use these tools, because it's advertised to you so that you think of all the convenience, you have all this protection, you have these incentive and rewards, but you're also paying for it in fees and interest.
Now, somebody may say, well, Carmen and Darius, you're talking about credit cards. How does this also work with your banking systems, the policies that you have created? It all still works the same, because if you know X amount of dollars are going to be spent every single month, regardless if it's through your bank account or on your credit card, it should basically be the same, right? Because we're not overspending. You can still get a loan from your policy, pay off the balance of your credit card. Now you have the rewards and the cash back, and you have the banking system still working as far as still owning your debt, as opposed to not owning your debt and taking over any financial expenses that you are incurring. It's just you're using your credit card for that instead of your debit card. So it works the exact same way. You're still going to use a loan to pay an account down. It just depends on what account are we paying down.
Yeah, and it still goes back to the foundation of why we use life insurance policies in the first place, is because we're leveraging our life insurance policy to get a loan to do investing, meaning we're not using our own money. When we use a credit card, we're also not using our own money. So, and every time we spend money, we never use our own. So that's one thing to think about. If you want to keep your money, spend somebody else's.
I like that. We need to put that on a t-shirt somewhere.
If you want to keep your money, spend somebody else's.
All day long and twice on Sunday. Now, again, let us know in the comments. What do you think? Debit cards, credit cards, pros and cons. Are you with us? Do you disagree? We want to know what you guys think, because like we said, we had to check ourselves and say, wait a second, do we need to rethink how we're doing this? We do own credit cards. Should we start leveraging these puppies a little bit more?
Should we continue with the envelope system that we learned from Financial Peace University and just spend cash?
What do we do? So we kept going back and forth, and the conclusion that we've made is we're going to start using our credit cards more, mainly just for protection, so that when we are swiping our debit cards, we're not opening up the world to say, hey, check out my bank account.
Yeah, because we used all of it. We used mom and dad. We used cash. We used debit cards. We used credit cards. Use life insurance policies.
Yeah, we've tried it all.
Tried it all.
And so for our day-to-day expenses, it's going to be a credit card, folks.
Yes.
So we hope that this information was helpful and just made you start thinking about, one, protection, and how are you actually using money on a day-to-day term. So think about it. Let us know what you think, and go ahead and check out our next video where we're talking about our banking systems and how to start incorporating that into your day-to-day lifestyle.
And remember to own your own lifestyle.
Or someone else will.